Most people think power comes from money, muscles, or titles. They imagine power as a sword, visible, intimidating, brutal. But real power doesn't scream. Real power whispers. It doesn't force the body, it bends the mind. The true weapon of control is not violence, it is manipulation. The terrifying thing about manipulation is its invisibility. It doesn't make you fight, it makes you obey willingly. It doesn't break your will, it rewrites it. Politicians use it to win elections. Corporations use it to make you addicted to their products. Influencers use it to hold millions under their spell. And the scariest part? Most people never notice. They believe they are free, while their choices are already pre-programmed. Niccolo Machiavelli, the most brutally honest mind of the Renaissance, was the first to strip this illusion bare. He didn't write about the world as we wish it to be. He wrote about the world as it really is. And what he revealed is this: people are far easier to control than they think, not through brute force, but through a system of deception, emotion, and psychological control. Why is manipulation stronger than violence? Because violence ends at the surface. Manipulation penetrates the soul. Violence forces compliance. Manipulation creates loyalty. A man forced with a sword will resist in secret. A man manipulated with illusions will defend his own chains. To understand why, you must look into human nature itself. Every human being craves three things: approval, safety, and belonging. Whoever controls these three levers controls the person. Imagine this: someone gives you praise, recognition, admiration. Your brain releases dopamine. You feel alive, valued, unique. What happens next? You trust them. You follow their guidance. You start to believe their words, even if those words are chains disguised as love. That is manipulation. Or the opposite. Someone subtly undermines you. A sarcastic remark, a planted doubt, a quiet look of disapproval. You resist at first, but slowly you start to believe you are not enough. And suddenly, you depend on their approval to feel worthy. That is not violence. That is psychological capture. The great lie is that humans are rational. We like to think we make decisions based on logic and facts. But Machiavelli knew better. We are slaves of emotion, fear, hope, guilt, desire. These are the true rulers of the human mind. The manipulator doesn't need arguments. He only needs the right triggers. And here's the most dangerous truth: the easier you think it is to resist manipulation, the more vulnerable you are. The man who believes he is free is already trapped. The woman who thinks she cannot be fooled is already deceived. Naive confidence is the perfect doorway for control. Machiavelli said, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few feel what you are." This is the heart of manipulation. Control perception, and you control reality. You don't need to change who you are. You only need to control how others see you. That's why manipulation is stronger than violence. Violence breaks resistance. Manipulation erases it. Violence ends when the soldier leaves. Manipulation continues even in his absence. The truth is, most people live like pawns on an invisible chessboard. They think they are moving themselves. In reality, they are being moved. By advertising, by authority, by social pressure, by invisible strings. Machiavelli understood. The one who sees the strings is free. The one who pulls them rules. So if you want power, real power, you must master this weapon. Not by shouting, not by threats, but by reading the human psyche like an open book. Because the secret is not to crush people from the outside. The secret is to control them from the inside. If you want to control people, you must never fall for the greatest illusion, that morality protects you. Morality is not truth. Morality is theater. It is a mask people wear to appear noble, righteous, and trustworthy. And behind that mask, desire, fear, self-interest. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote that a ruler doesn't need to actually be virtuous. He only needs to appear virtuous. Honesty, generosity, justice, these are performances. People rarely look beneath the surface. They see what they want to see. And what they want most of all is the illusion of goodness. This is where manipulation begins. Not by telling people the truth, but by controlling the image they believe in. If you want people to see you as strong, hide your weakness, even when you are trembling inside. If you want them to see you as trustworthy, speak the language of morality, even if your real goal is power. The world doesn't judge you by your reality. It judges you by the mask you wear. Why does deception work so well? Because humans need illusions. They don't want raw reality. They want comfort. They want heroes to believe in, leaders to trust, systems to feel safe in. Whoever provides those illusions controls their loyalty. Look at politics. Leaders promise justice, equality, prosperity. Behind the curtain, they cut deals, serve lobbies, and play dirty games. Yet people still cheer because they believe the mask. Look at corporations. They advertise sustainability and social responsibility while their factories pollute and exploit. But the green logo, the glossy campaign, the smiling CEO, that mask is enough to calm the masses. Look at relationships, the charming smile, the gentle words, the "I only want what's best for you." Often nothing more than manipulation wrapped in the mask of care. Machiavelli's genius was exposing this. Morality is not the foundation of power. It is the costume that makes power look acceptable. The person who believes morality rules the world will always be ruled. The person who understands morality as performance can rule others. He even said it bluntly. A ruler must learn how not to be good. Not because cruelty is a virtue, but because morality, when taken at face value, makes you weak. The ruler, or anyone seeking control, must be flexible. Play the part of the saint when it benefits you. Abandon it when it threatens you. Virtue when it's useful. Deception when it's necessary. And here lies the essence of manipulation. Truth is weak, illusion is strong. Tell people the cold, raw truth, and they will turn away. Give them a story, a symbol, a mask, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth. This is why the best manipulators are not liars in the obvious sense. They are actors. They know exactly which role to play for which audience. They give people what they want to believe. They mirror their values, their hopes, their fears. And once trust is established, once the illusion feels real, the manipulation is complete. The controlled person doesn't resist because they don't even know they're controlled. They defend their manipulator. They justify him. They rationalize, he's good, she means well, this is for the greater good. That is the perfection of deception, when the victim becomes your ally. So if you want to manipulate and control, understand this. Morality is not the game. Morality is the mask. Control the mask and you control the people. If you want to manipulate and control people, you must face a brutal truth. Love is weak, fear is strong. Machiavelli put it plainly. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Why? Because love is fragile. It is conditional. People love you as long as you satisfy their desires. They love you as long as you make them feel good, as long as you benefit them, as long as no one else offers them more. But love changes. Love fades. Love betrays. Fear, on the other hand, is stable. It digs deep into the human nervous system. It bypasses logic and embeds itself in the survival instinct. A person may stop loving you, but they will not stop fearing you. And fear, once implanted, becomes the leash that keeps them in line. This doesn't mean love has no place. Love can charm, attract, and unite. But if your control depends only on love, you are standing on thin ice. The boss who just wants to be liked gets disrespected. The partner who never sets boundaries gets ignored. The politician who only seeks popularity eventually gets betrayed. Fear guarantees respect. When people fear crossing you, they hesitate. They measure their words. They follow instructions. They think twice before betraying you. Fear imposes order where love invites chaos. But here's the key. Fear must be used carefully. Too much fear turns into hatred, and hatred breeds rebellion. A tyrant may hold power for a while, but he lives under constant threat of assassination, overthrow, or revenge. Machiavelli warned, be feared, but never hated. Instill enough fear to control, but not enough to spark revolt. How does this translate into modern life? In politics, leaders create fear of instability, then present themselves as the only source of stability. In corporations, managers enforce respect with consequences, not just friendliness. In relationships, people who set firm boundaries are valued more than those who endlessly sacrifice. Fear doesn't require shouting or cruelty. It requires clarity, clear consequences, clear signals that your time, respect, and loyalty are not free. A calm refusal, a silent stare, a decisive action. These can be more terrifying than an explosion of rage because they show control. Think about it. The teacher who tries to be everyone's friend loses authority. The teacher who smiles but sets unbreakable rules earns both respect and obedience. The leader who seeks only applause is weak. The leader who balances kindness with consequences is untouchable. This balance is the art of control. Use love to win hearts, but anchor it with fear. Give people hope, but remind them of the cost of disobedience. They must feel that they need you, and that they cannot afford to betray you. Look around. You already see it everywhere. Influencers use love by inspiring followers, but they also use fear, the fear of missing out, of being left behind. Employers use love by giving rewards, but also fear, the fear of being replaced. Politicians use love through promises, but also fear, the fear of chaos if they are not in charge. Most people don't realize they are caught in this love-fear dynamic. They tell themselves they follow out of admiration, when in truth they follow out of fear of loss. That's the genius of Machiavelli. He saw that fear is not the opposite of love, it is its shadow. And in control, the shadow always lasts longer than the light. So if you want to manipulate and control, remember, love is useful, but fear is reliable. Love makes people adore you. Fear makes them obey you. And obedience is power. If you want to control people, stop seeing them as noble beings. Stop believing in the fairy tale that humans are guided by logic, loyalty, or pure morality. Machiavelli saw through that illusion centuries ago. His verdict was blunt. People are selfish, fearful, ungrateful, greedy, and forgetful. And that is exactly why they are so easy to manipulate. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone swear loyalty only to abandon it the moment a better offer appeared? How many times has gratitude faded, replaced by indifference? How often do people preach morality, then betray their own words when temptation knocks? This isn't an exception. This is human nature. The secret to manipulation is simple. Exploit what people fear, what they desire, and what they cannot resist. People fear loss more than they love gain. Threaten to take something away, status, respect, belonging, and they will bend. People crave reward. A small compliment, a token of recognition, a promise of something better, and they will chase you endlessly. People forget quickly. Gratitude is temporary. Loyalty evaporates. The same person who praises you today may betray you tomorrow. This means you should never rely on people's goodwill. Never trust promises of loyalty. Instead, build control systems that don't depend on their gratitude. Use their weaknesses as anchors, so even when their feelings shift, their behavior remains under your control. Politicians do this by creating fear of chaos, and then presenting themselves as the savior. Corporations do this by inventing artificial desires, then selling the solution. Influencers do this by giving recognition, a like, a comment, a repost, making followers crave more until they are addicted. It's not random, it's psychological engineering. Machiavelli knew humans believe they are free, but in truth they are puppets of their own impulses. The manipulator doesn't need to fight them, he only needs to pull the right strings. Want an example? Consider relationships. A person doesn't stay in love because of abstract principles. They stay because of fear of loneliness or hope for affection. At work, people don't serve a company out of deep loyalty. They stay because of fear of poverty or hunger for status. This is why manipulation is universal. Every decision people make is tied to survival, gain, or recognition. And here's the most dangerous truth. Everyone can be manipulated. The intellectual who prides himself on logic, easy prey because he thinks he is immune. The wealthy man who boasts of independence, controlled through his fear of losing it all. The moral saint who swears he can't be bought, broken through his need for admiration. No one escapes. Every person has a weakness. Machiavelli's genius was to strip humanity bare and see the patterns. He saw that humans are not rocks, they are clay. They can be shaped, molded, twisted, as long as you know their pressure points. So how do you find those pressure points? You watch, you listen, you observe not what people say, but what they avoid. Their fears are hidden in their silences. Their desires show in what excites them. Their weakness is revealed in what they cannot resist. Once you see it, you hold the key to their behavior. This is why naive idealists always lose. They expect people to be loyal, grateful, consistent. They expect truth to win by itself. But the manipulator doesn't rely on illusions. He uses reality. He accepts people as selfish, fearful, and inconsistent, and then turns those flaws into chains. So if you want to manipulate and control, abandon the illusion that people are guided by principle. They are guided by fear, desire, and weakness. And once you know where those weaknesses lie, you own them. Everyone is manipulable. The only difference is whether you can see their strings or not. Everything we've explored leads here. Machiavelli's brutal wisdom, stripped of illusions, reveals a reality that most people are too afraid to face. Power is not about truth, fairness, or morality. Power is about control, and control follows rules. If you understand these rules, you can manipulate anyone. Rule 1. Control perception, not reality. People don't live in reality, they live in their perception of reality. They don't care about facts as much as the story that explains them. That's why rulers, corporations, and influencers all focus on narrative. If you control the story, you control the mind. Never argue facts, paint an image, create a feeling, tell a story. Illusion outlives truth. Rule 2. Balance fear and hope. Fear alone creates rebellion. Hope alone creates complacency. The true manipulator gives both. Make people fear what they could lose, and then offer them hope of what only you can give. This tension keeps them hooked, afraid to leave you, desperate to follow you. Rule 3. Give recognition but create dependency. Everyone craves validation. A compliment, a reward, a sign of approval. People will do almost anything to earn it again. But don't give it endlessly. Give it strategically. Make it scarce, so they chase it. Give them just enough to keep them hungry, never enough to free them. Recognition becomes the leash they willingly put on themselves. Rule 4. Be unpredictable. Predictability breeds comfort. Unpredictability breeds caution. If people never know how you will react, they tread carefully around you. They adjust to your moods. They work harder to please you. Uncertainty forces them to give you control because stability depends on your approval. Rule 5. Exploit weaknesses, not strengths. No one is without a crack. Some fear rejection, some fear loneliness, some fear failure. Others crave respect, attention, or power. The manipulator doesn't attack strengths, he digs into weaknesses. Once you find that soft spot, you own the person. They may resist in public, but privately, they cannot escape. These rules are not fantasy. They are already being used against you every day. Politicians shape perception, sell fear, and offer hope. Corporations engineer desire, then control you through scarcity. Social media platforms give you recognition in the form of likes and followers, just enough to keep you addicted. Influencers use unpredictability to keep you watching. Every headline, every ad, every campaign is a Machiavellian move. The average person is blind to this. They believe they are free, while their strings are pulled from every angle. They defend the very people who control them, convinced they made their choices willingly. That's the perfection of manipulation, when the victim believes the prison is freedom. So what do you do with this knowledge? You have two choices. You can stay blind, play the role of the pawn, forever controlled by systems smarter than you, or you can step onto the other side of the board. You can learn to see the strings, cut the ones on you, and pull the ones on others. To manipulate and control everyone, you don't need armies. You don't need wealth. You don't even need titles. You need perception, fear, hope, recognition, unpredictability, and the patience to find weakness. These are the tools. And in the hands of the one who understands them, they are stronger than any weapon. Machiavelli's lesson is not about cruelty for cruelty's sake. It is about clarity. The world is not ruled by ideals. It is ruled by those who know how to bend human nature. So ask yourself, will you be the pawn, moved by others, or will you be the player, moving the pieces? Because in the end, there are only two kinds of people, the manipulated and the manipulators, and the choice is yours.